What is going on, Optimistic Fan Club? We are here in the studio, a little behind the scenes for you, but the video you just clicked on is a Shedeur Sanders film breakdown. This is from April 9th, and I posted this exclusively on Patreon. So, what you're going to see is what I believed were his strengths and his weaknesses. And this is ultimately why I wanted the Browns to draft him potentially number two overall. It didn't work out that way. It worked out way better for Cleveland, but this is just to show it's like I was very high on him early on. There's some new fans in the comments who are claiming I don't know nothing about Shedeur. Believe me, I've done lots of film study. I watched every single one of his games, all the all 22. And that's what you're going to see in this. A lot of all 22 tape. This isn't just watching highlights from the broadcast. This was actually spending time going through hours on end, taking notes. And that's what left me so comfortable when the Browns took him. Like they got a steal in the fifth round because I think this guy was absolutely a first round talent. It's beyond, you know, so what? He doesn't have the physical markers of a freak. Maybe he doesn't have the best deep ball. This guy does the little things right and plays the game well between his ears. Is there's things he can fix? Absolutely, the same way every quarterback can. But we're going to dive into it. I won't go too much because some of it's going to become repetitive, but there's timestamps below so you can jump straight to the film between the highlights and the lowlights. But this is that Shedeur Sanders video, and the reason why it's here on YouTube and not on Patreon, discontinued the Patreon for the time being because we want to build our own platform eventually, and I want people to see this video. So there we go. Let's get into it. Shedeur Sanders film breakdown. You guessed it, this week's video, this film breakdown, this long film breakdown is on Shedeur Sanders because there is a lot to love and a lot to question about this guy. Early on, I was against the idea of Shedeur. But as the season went on, as I saw him play, as I saw him get the crap kicked out of him, and him kept bouncing back and doing a good job at the podium, leading his team, and just really diving into the tape more and seeing his physical skills, I've come around on the idea. But that's going to be the big question that we're going to try and answer this video. Honestly, I don't really have a complete answer, but you'll hear my final take at the end. But we're going to go through a bunch of games. We're going to go through the Kansas game, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, BYU, the bowl game. We're going to go through a ton of stuff and try and come up with what we like more. Or are we so sold on his strengths that we're willing to overlook his weaknesses and we think he can overcome them? Or are his weaknesses too glaring? So let's run through a few of these strengths and weaknesses first. So these are the things that I've written down from all these games. And like I mentioned, we went through Nebraska, UCF. We went through the Arizona game, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and BYU. So a lot of tape. It's the majority of the games from this season that I've watched on him. And here are the things that stuck out the most. So strengths. Short to intermediate throws. His slants and digs, his quick outs are beautiful. He throws a really nice, tight, compact throwing motion, gets the ball out quick, and does it on a rope. When he's confident, he can drive the ball aggressively. His level 1 and 2 balls, and like now switching to his level 2 balls, those seams, those intermediate seams where he has to get it over top of a linebacker underneath a safety, a thing of beauty. Pro level throws all across the tape when you see those kind of plays come up. Like I mentioned, a nice release, good zip on the ball. He places the ball in a defensive back's blind spot. So he doesn't necessarily have a cannon arm where he can stretch it downfield. He can stretch it, but he doesn't do it by out throwing a defensive back. He completes those passes by throwing it to a defensive back's blind spot and allowing his receiver to make a play. When he takes off, running the ball, he can be effective. However, there's some caveats to that, which we'll get through in the weaknesses. Throws a really nice fade ball in the red zone. That popped up on tape. He has good rhythm, and a lot of people made a big deal about him patting the ball. I just think it's a part of his rhythm and his release. I think it's good. He resets his feet well when he's on the move, doesn't throw from bad platforms too often. However, it still does happen in certain throws when he's been rushed a lot. Good touch on slot fades in particular, and good placement when he throws those corner balls. So really nice touch, really great zip, good delivery, short to intermediate, impeccable. Really, really great stuff. But now his weaknesses, and these are some big glaring spots that leave me with a lot of questions. So he throws a lot of early game interceptions, and they're
consistently bad. Like it's like throwing the ball to the middle of the field or across his body to the middle of the field, and he doesn't see a lurking zone defender right there who plucks it out of the air. He retreats a lot, causing bad sacks. Like he loses tons of yardage, or he gets himself out of position to make easier throws, or to even just run the ball. He can miss his hots sometimes against the blitz, and that's a part of the retreating. He's moving backwards and he can't get to like a drag route, a swing, a check down. That can get him out of trouble, which is something that the great quarterbacks do. They get the ball into their playmakers' hands when they're facing pressure. He can sometimes underthrow deep balls, and that doesn't mean he has a weak arm. It just means that he doesn't have a top 5 strength arm. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL who are really good but don't have cannons. That's just the fact. He won't always take off and run when there's alleyways. And not that that's a bad thing, but there's times where it's like you have no other opportunity other than to take what the defense is giving you, and that is on the ground. You need to do it. Sometimes he doesn't. And maybe that's just him trying to avoid a stereotype or who knows what, but he doesn't do it enough when those opportunities are there. Sometimes he won't take a good angle while he's running the ball, so he'll run back into the middle of the field where there's defenders. There's a couple instances of that in this film that we'll see. And when he's flustered, he can misplace throws and he can tend to drift in the pocket. So with that, the strengths and the weaknesses, and again, we're going to get through all of this in depth in the actual breakdown. But there's questions. It's, can he mitigate the early mistakes? Can he learn from those early interceptions that he's thrown? And honestly, I would say that right off the bat is a yes, because he often would rebound from those bad starts and turn out to have a really solid game. Can he clean up the footwork when he's getting flustered, when he's getting rushed? I think that that's something that comes with maturity and time. In general, I think he's pretty good. So I would say that he probably can. Is the retreating, and this is the big one, is the retreating in the pocket, the losing ground in the pocket, is that tied to having a bad offensive line, which he did have in Colorado, like the guy got beat up? Or is it a habit where he doesn't feel confident stepping up into the pocket? And this is a bit of a mixed bag. This is something that I want you guys to let me know what you think after watching his strengths, because sometimes he maneuvers the pocket like he's Tom Brady, and other times he's running back like he's Brandon Weeden from back in the day. So that's my biggest question within all of this. And how's he going to fit in the Brown system? And that second question is a bit larger, but the larger one within all of that is he worthy of the number 2 pick? So we're going to go through this. We're going to check back in after, enjoy the film room. We will see you at the end. So let's jump right into Colorado versus Nebraska. This is the second game of the season. And like I mentioned, we're going to go through the highlights first. This is what I really like about Shedeur. His slants, his intermediate balls, like he throws these on a rope right into his guy's chest and really confidently does it. And we're going to see this over and over. So I'm not going to keep pausing and playing because he does these things a lot, but you're going to see. Then this ball right here, this is one that has to be caught. This is a good job stepping up into the pocket, receives the snap, drops, quick hitch, steps up, feels the pressure, and delivers a strike right into his receiver's chest. He eases up too much, goes through the hands, takes a hit. That should be a catch all the way, but that's a really, really pretty ball. We continue on here. And now throwing the out route. Can you make these throws? And not that this is a super high level throw or anything, but can you get it to your guy in space, safe? You're not leading him too far towards the sideline where this defender who's supposed to be having his back turned to this because you're outside releasing the go route, he's still kind of there. So he knows I can't overdrive this ball, puts it right in between the numbers in the sideline, gets it to his playmaker, makes a play up the sideline, first down. One thing though, and this is something we're going to talk about in the lowlights, you can see sometimes on these intermediate routes, he's so confident in his arm that his feet can get a little wonky and it almost looks like he's getting stuck. If you see what I mean, on this front leg, like you're supposed to rotate around the front of your body when you make these throws, but he kind of gets caught, that back leg gets caught and he takes that. So maybe he's just feeling the pressure, but you can see what I mean. He's almost going all arm on this throw, and it just doesn't look very comfortable or natural. And that's sometimes where he starts to miss some of these plays, but not an issue on this one. And like I mentioned, we're going to get to the low lights. Continuing on, this is my favorite part about Shedeur. This is the thing that gets me really excited about him. It's what he does in these dig routes, these blast routes, whatever you want to call them. Anything intermediate breaking across the middle, he is just precise. Laser right down the middle there. Really, really pretty ball, tight spiral, high velocity, giving his guy a chance to catch and run. Love that. Love it so much. Then going on again, this is a bit more that blast route, a 5-step slant, clear the backers, deliver the ball, got middle field open, making plays. And again, from the end zone view, it's even prettier. He just gets it on guys, and he does it in a hurry. Really compact throwing motion too. It's not overextended. He doesn't have a super high release. It's coming basically off of his ear hole and just a strike into his receiver's hands. That's NFL level throws right there. Similar thing, just this is what you could imagine in the Brown system, getting him on the move. And I think he does a really good job too of getting his feet reset on a lot of these throws on the move. He's working out. He could just get rid of this while on the run, but that might create a scenario where the ball sails over top because he has too much momentum. Instead, squares up a little bit more to this point here. Nice catchable ball, not high. He's not waiting for it. So another one, rolling out. Another strength of his, pushing the ball towards the sideline, especially on scramble drill. And that's another example of squaring up, like I mentioned. So if you're throwing against the grain, like if you roll out to the right as a right-handed quarterback, it's a lot easier because your throwing arm is already backwards. When you're moving to the left, you have to get to this position here where you're almost like a shortstop making a throw to first base. You have to square up your body, and he does a really nice job of that. Let's watch it again, full speed here. But squares up, good delivery, right on the money, super safe throw to the sideline. And this Nebraska game, like, there's a lot of struggles throughout this one, but Shedeur is doing his best. So here's another one, just throwing those strikes, those level 1 bullet passes, tight coverage, throws the curl right on the money, really good rhythm to it, completes the ball. Moving on here. This is something that, again, we're going to see consistently show up on screen, is that when he throws these deep balls, he's not necessarily like leading his man open downfield. Like, I think if this is Cam Ward or any other number of first round draft prospects, they're going to drop this ball outside and in between the numbers and the sideline so they can continue to run under it and score a touchdown easily. Shedeur, I don't know, through all the games I watched, I didn't see a ton of moments where he let a guy downfield. But what he does do is throw it to a defensive back's blind spot. So right here, this corner has inside shade coverage. He is trying to use the sideline as his defender. He's waiting for the receiver's hands to go up to make a play on this, but Shedeur drops the ball right on the back of his head. So the receiver can jump up and through the defender to make this play. And that does two things for you. It either, one, draws you a pass interference because as the receiver jumps up and over, if this DB keeps fighting through his body, he's going to get a pass interference call. So you're getting a huge gain in the NFL. You're getting it at the spot of the foul. But if you have a great jump ball guy, it means that they can throw them by a little bit, jump up, and make this play. So all in all, not necessarily an elite deep ball thrower, but gives his guys a chance. And I think that that's what matters the most. So again, flush out of the pocket. What do? Square the hips, deliver a good strike to the sideline. And this looks out of bounds, but I think if you have a better receiver, if this is Jerry Jeudy, even Cedric Tillman, I think they make this catch because this is perfect location for this. Bam. NFL receiver can get both feet down and make that play. And I think this actually might have got overturned as well, but really great throw there. And now again, on the move, finding a guy down the seam. I believe this is Travis Hunter. A lot of this is Travis Hunter, but Working, good eyes downfield, finding that soft zone. I feel like he has a good understanding and feeling of where the holes are in the defense, especially on the scramble drill. That's something that I noticed throughout all of this game tape. And this is the final one from Nebraska. Just again, driving that out route. And good zip on the ball. Little too much choppiness, I think. You'll see it in the end zone view. Some choppiness in the feet. Ba-bum, ba-bum. And again, not too bad, but one thing that you would like to see, and I'm sure he's going to be working on, and that the evaluators are talking about too, a lot of the time when he puts a lot into the ball, when he puts a lot of mustard on it, you see his body shift and his head drop. So there, that right there. That can lead to a lot of inaccuracies and misses. And then even the follow through after, it's like he almost stumbles and falls backwards. That's just something that he's going to have to work on and become more confident in his arm strength, where he doesn't feel like he needs to throw his head into it. But minor thing, overall, it's a good throw. It's a good catch. It's a touchdown. So now we're going to move on to UCF. This is, again, early in the season, right off the bat, a gorgeous ball. Any sort of these benders, these bending seams, these bang eights, however you want to call it, however it's dialed up, he does a really good job of throwing level 2 balls down the seam where he's clearing the linebackers and putting the ball on the money. Really nice stuff. And that's like one of the less attractive ones in this collection so far. So again, we're dropping back. Here's a deep ball. This is one where he does lead him. Honestly, I don't even know if this is a great throw or not. He gets his guy there, but this almost looks like an underthrow. Like the defensive back should be jumping up and making a play on this ball. I think in the NFL, this could be an interception. It's more so a great catch by the receiver, but he's giving his guy a chance. And that's what ultimately matters in this instant. If you're dialing up a deep shot, don't be afraid to let it rip, make a play. But that's a fantastic catch by number 14 here. And honestly, a good ball too. It is a good ball, but in the NFL, I don't know if that's a completion or not. So we're going again. Let's see this intermediate work. Quick zip. Get the feet set. Deliver the ball. Big hit there. But from the end zone view, you see it. That ball is so tight and so well placed. Just leading him to open grass. The receiver's got to do a better job of getting his head up there and looking back upfield. He can't just keep drifting. But really, really great throw there. Working again. Now let's see the scrambling ability. Decent. When he decides that he's going to run in a straight line, and again, as you'll see in the low lights, when he decides he's going to run in a straight line, he's really, really effective. When he doesn't, he looks like an unathletic quarterback. But let's see again. Improvisational skills. Flush out of the pocket, rolling, finding Travis Hunter downfield, give him a chance, make the play. And that's the other thing in all of this with the evaluations. It's hard to tell. You know, some people will tell you Travis Hunter isn't a great receiver. He's not an NFL receiver. I don't think that that's the case whatsoever. I think that he could be, in my video, I thought that he could be a very good number 2 receiver, an immediate number 3 receiver. I don't know if he'll ever be a true number 1 guy. Again, I don't know that. I don't know his work ethic. I don't know his constitution. But when you see stuff like that, you're kind of like, damn, man, like this guy's super talented. His ball skills are elite. Is that what made Shedeur so effective? So that's something that you have to keep in mind, because he bails him out a lot. And we're going to see that throughout this. Like Travis Hunter makes plays, but Shedeur is giving him the chance to make those plays. So that's super important. So rolling, step up, spin out, get those shoulders square. Good ball. All right, now we're moving on again. This is a bit of a miss hit here. So this is somewhere between a highlight and a low light. But I think, again, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku, this might be a catch. I like the placement because it's a safe throw, though. And that's what matters here. Trying to throw the back shoulder because the defensive back is blind to it. Gave him a decent chance. I think a better receiver probably makes that catch, so I included it in the highlights here. But now, let's see the pocket presence. This is really, really good here. Drop back. Nothing's there. feeling the pressure, interior, the edge is coming around, making you step up, protecting the ball, and then he finds his alleyway. Don't try and force anything, just take off. And you'd like to see a better slide there. But all in all, really good pocket presence and taking off effectively. Okay, so now let's move on to Arizona. Arizona, deep ball right off the bat and started. And that's kind of what I'm talking about there. Little bit of an underthrow. This could be a walk-in touchdown rather than a headache scenario where you're getting caught at the 5. I'd like to see him uncork that a little bit more and let his guy run. Can he do that? I'm sure he can, but it's a little nonchalant on the release. Like, it doesn't really... And again, I'll take this over an overthrow, but I don't know how big that pocket that this receiver has is going to be in the NFL. I don't know if you're going to get 6 yards of separation, when it's not a busted play. It's just like bag coverage. I don't know if that's going to happen too much. So that's something to consider. You'd like to see this guy still running, like catching this ball here on the 7-yard line instead of back waiting for it on the 15. Still a highlight though. Still a big play. Okay, intermediate ball. Gorgeous. Right on schedule. Fantastic delivery. Like, really, really love it. That's something that I think he does do better than Cam Ward, without a doubt. Another thing that I think he is fantastic at is throwing the fade ball. And I probably mentioned that in the intro to all of this. This isn't a catch, but this ball is perfectly placed. Defender's blind to it. Right there. That should be a touchdown all the way, every single time. And in the NFL, those receivers, they have to make those plays or else they'll get cut. But gorgeous, gorgeous throw on those fades. And you're going to see that a lot. Again, intermediate ball. Dimes. Like, look at the spiral. Look at the spiral on these throws. Zip. On the money. Okay. Now we're going again. Another fade ball. This is a bit more of a level 2 than a level 3 touch ball. Not completed, but gives this guy a chance. Like, that's a play like Amari Cooper would make for sure. Like, that's like the opening play, Giants versus Browns last year, that Deshaun Watson throws to Amari Cooper. That's a really, really pretty ball into a tight window. Moving on. Another slant. Gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff. So much velocity. With a nice compact release too. Bam. Really love that. Okay. Now we're down in the red zone again. We're moving, taking off, scoring. Don't really like the finish all that much. I don't like getting weak kneed. Finish a bit harder. But I'm nitpicking here. Okay, now Utah. Let's see what we got here. This was one where, early on in the game, he throws an interception. We're going to see that. But they get back on the horse. They start getting into what they're doing, start throwing these short, intermediate slant routes, digs, and they start moving the ball a lot more. And I think that that's going to be a big deal with Shedeur in the NFL. Okay, now situational. He gets him to jump offside. He knows he's got a good matchup. Throw it up, score the touchdown. You got a free play anyways, makes it. So really good situational awareness here and a good ball. This is a much better ball. But this is kind of what I'm talking about throwing to a guy's blind spot. If he throws this ball to the back of the end zone, it's going to be a chase down moment where it's just contested. It's not going to be completed. If he throws the back shoulder, I think that this corner has enough of an eye where he could fade with it and still contest it. But what if we throw it right on top of his head because we have a little bit of a gap and a taller wide receiver there? We can go up and we can get it. And I think that's great ball, great situational awareness there. Moving on here. Improv. What do? Make him chase, make him run, look for our open guy, nice delivery, safe throw, convert, get the first down. This is not really where you want to be playing. That's not the style of play that you're going to want from this guy, but it's been a big question. It's like if you're going to a team with a worse O-line, you would want Cam Ward, but then you see this kind of stuff and you're like, he can do some of this well enough with his athleticism. He's not the same guy as Cam Ward, but it's manageable. However, I think the Browns' offensive line situation is going to be a lot better than the Titans. So if that's the case, it should be all right. Okay. So here's another one. Flushed out of the pocket, working to his left, delivers a good ball. That's super important. All right. We're working. And that's Travis Hunter right there, man. Like, this is what I'm talking about, where part of these evaluations, you have to credit to the fact that this guy is one of the all-time college athletes ever. It's fantastic. And this play, I remember watching this game live back in the fall. So impressed at that ability to go up and get it and withstand that hit. Great stuff. But this was a 4th down. And Shedeur's just like, you know what, man? I'm not playing scared. I'm not throwing the check down. I trust my guy. Go up and get it. There's a confidence to that. Like, that matters. And it's easy to say, it's like, oh, he's just throwing it to his top playmaker, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's all football comes down to. It's like sometimes in the Super Bowl, you just throw it up to A.J. Brown. Sometimes in the Super Bowl, you just throw it up to Tyreek Hill against the 49ers and you win your first Super Bowl as Pat Mahomes, right? Sometimes it can be that easy. But here we go again. Really, really beautiful fade ball. Just, he makes it look very simple with all of this. And the placement is just perfect. He knows he's got a little window to the outside. He's got some space. He can put more height on it. Let his guy work. Good adjustment by the receiver. 2 feet down. That's a big, big throw right there. But not bigger than this one, man. This is one of the prettiest throws that you'll see. So they're basically going to work into a zone here. He's going to shift out to the flats. This backer's going to expand. This receiver in the slot's going to clear and bend towards that middle field open. And Shedeur just clears that second level and puts a gorgeous ball right on the money. Beautiful stuff. Great run after the catch, too, to score the touchdown. But this throw is just picture perfect. You're going to see it from the end zone here. Beautiful stuff. That to me, when people are discounting Shedeur, I was pretty against the idea of him, and I still don't know completely how I feel about him. But when you see stuff like that, like this is every bit of an NFL throw as there is. Leading a guy to open space, clearing the backers, allowing him to make a play after. With that accuracy, it's just really fantastic stuff. All right, now we got another one. He sees a free man running, identifies it, safety rotates down, and they just make a play. Another one, too, where it's like, yes, you're kind of throwing off your back foot, so you can't throw the perfect ball, but you'd still like, in a picture-perfect world, this ball to be here so we can run, catch it, and then keep taking off versus having to have this slow down and having these trailing defenders start to close in on him. Nitpicking, but again, that's just kind of what matters in the NFL. You don't want that shuffling and slowing down, but a great play nonetheless. Now we are moving on to Kansas. Okay, this was a really tough game. This is where I was first introduced to Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas. If you know, you know. But we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about Shedeur, and this is a good run by him right here. When he takes off in a straight line, that's when he's effective as a runner. He can't, beat you side to side. He's got to be a straight up north-south guy. So here's working in the pocket, does a good job sorting through the trash and finding his man. Okay? One of my big issues with Shedeur has been that he retreats a little bit too much. And this is one where it's a little bit of a false positive because at the end of the day, he does make this play here. And I think he's looking to the front side. He sees this. This is probably going to be like a hack or a dropout where they're working back to the sideline. He's looking for this. It's not there. Now, I don't like this too much. The moving back. Instead, just hitch to here or hitch to here. Your second read, whatever that is. But I assume this has got something to do with it within that progression. And it's open right now. So take it right now. Like Travis Hunter's dying for this ball. And instead he's got to jump around a million times, lose 5 yards. And, ultimately he makes a play because he's the Heisman winner. But it could have been so much easier. Right here. Right here. It's there. It's there. It's there. And now it's not. Now you got to do all this stuff. It could be a lot simpler. It's still a good play, but it's a false positive. Okay, now we're loading up, throwing a really nice corner ball to the sideline here. Really good touch on this. That kind of velocity where it's like still tight spiral, moving quick, but a soft ball to catch. That's really great stuff right there. And again, that's something that I think Cam Ward was really good at, but I don't think he was asked to do it as much as Shedeur was. I feel like Shedeur, because of the protection issues, because of the lack of talent around him in the run game and the offensive line, the receiver room is another story, but without having that all-around talent around him as an offense, they asked him to do a lot more in the short game and intermediate game. And I think that's super valuable because he got to show off these skills. And I think that, that's like the situation with Tyler, whatever his name is, the Louisville quarterback who people were talking about. It's like the guy throws a lot of touchdowns. They're all go balls. That's uninteresting to me. What do you do when you're playing in a phone booth and you got to make throws in a phone booth? And when you make plays like this, down the seam, a laser, great catch, but don't be fooled. Like that is an amazing throw, throwing it at this defender's back. Because again, what does it do? One of two things. One, if this receiver goes up and the defensive back keeps running through his body, you're getting the pass interference call and you're getting the ball on the 1 yard line. However, if you trust your guy, give him the ability to make a play, he makes a play and he scores a touchdown. And you see it again here. Just picture perfect. Picture perfect stuff right there. Moving on. You find the soft spot, kind of like running a drop out here. Drop out is kind of what we would consider where you clear the defender, you have over the top help. You want to settle in this zone. We called that a dropout back in university. I'm not sure what they call it, but it's a good ball. Just getting a guy into open space, not leading him too far. Quick and easy. Score the touchdown. And then final play from the Kansas game in terms of highlights. Really nice throw on this comeback here. Driving it to the sideline, nice and low. A bit more of a hack than a comeback, but you get the picture. It's a good throw. It's accurate. It's on the money. It's safe away from the defensive back. Okay, so now Oklahoma State. Let's see what we've got going on here. Start the game. Just a dart on this slant route. They're kind of running like snag. They're running a bunch concept. So they got this coming underneath that outside, or sorry, I got it wrong there. This inside receiver is running the slant. They're clearing out and just puts it right on the money, man. Gorgeous. Protected throw. That's what I like about what I'm seeing from Shedeur. Very often he's protecting his receivers and he's giving them the ability to make plays after the catch. That is something that has been a major problem in Cleveland over the past year, and we all know that. But here's another one. Fantastic pocket presence. They're rushing 5 here, or they're rushing 4, excuse me. We're working. Things aren't working out. We're stepping up. Linebacker comes in to close. He knows that a hit might be coming, but ultimately we make this play. And our eyes are working upfield the whole time. Beautiful ball to the corner there. Watch it here. Working. Stepping up. One thing I don't like here, say it with me right here. If you guess ball security, you got the prize. And unfortunately, there is no prize. But you know what I mean here. Let's protect that ball. Let's keep it up. Let's keep 2 hands on that while we're driving in the pocket, not swinging around. Someone's going to flip, dive out at you and knock this out when it's like sitting below your hip like this. That's not something we can have. Not in the NFL. But a great ball nonetheless. They scored the touchdown. All right, let's see it again. Ball's a little high, but honestly, for a guy with long arms like Travis Hunter, Perfect pitch and catch. Leads him upfield on the upfield shoulder. Sticks his foot in the ground, scores. Beautiful stuff right there. And people are talking about the ball padding and whatever with Shedeur. It's just, to me, a non-issue storyline where they're just trying to kill time until the draft actually starts. They need to build all the controversy they can. This is perfect rhythm. RPO, step, back, hitch, bam. That is picture perfect timing. Picture perfect timing. The ball pat's got nothing to do with it. If that's a part of your rhythm, then that's all you really need to do. I mean, look at this one. This is his best ball. And this is where you see his deep balls be really effective, is when he's running slot fade. So let's say you're here, here, double hitch, and then you got here, and we can belly out now. So the ball can be thrown outside to these numbers. That's slot fade. So like a guy like Shedeur, might not be able to stretch it down to the Z receiver set out to the field really, really well between the numbers and the sideline, but he can make this throw easily because he knows he can put some more air on it, some more touch, and his receiver could run underneath it. Watch it, pat the ball, bam, with pressure in his face, on the money. Gorgeous ball right there, man. See it again. That is just about as pretty as it gets. And I think that that's one of his strengths, slot fade in particular. All right, again, we're throwing to the defensive back's blind spot. Nice release there. Throwing a bit of a back shoulder, making the play. Hanging in there, taking the hit, making the throw. Give your guy a chance. Okay, now we're on the move, throwing against the grain. Not the greatest habit to have, but he makes the play nonetheless. And he does this a couple times. If this is leaked slightly more inside, it's an interception and we're having a different story here. But sometimes you got to be a gunslinger, and he makes the play. All right, now, again, just like we saw in the Nebraska game or Arizona, whichever one it was, throwing the out, driving that out, getting his guy nice and flat, not drifting. It's a good play. And if you're here to baby, don't worry. He's being watched right now. Okay, moving on here. The dig route. Shedeur is an elite dig route thrower. He just throws it off these level 2 defenders' ear holes. You thought you had at 44. Not even close, though. Good job. Okay, moving on here. Now we've got a bit of a swap release go route here. Driving it outside the numbers in the hash. Giving his guy a chance. Because, again, I think that I'm sure he has the arm strength to make this throw where he could push it to like the 15-yard line. But instead, he gives his guy a chance to just make a jump ball because the way he was folding and bending this, he could have got run out of bounds by the 15-yard line. Instead, he keeps it in play and allows the guy to make a play on the ball. It's like, if you remember the Cowboys game last year, some of the balls Deshaun was throwing out of bounds because he was afraid to put the ball in play. Like, this is an antidote to that. Keep it in play, but make it safe, throwing to the defensive back's blind spot and give your guy a chance to make the play. I think it's really, really nice. Pat, throw. That's a great ball right there. They don't all have to be these catch and run enormous moments. At the end of the day, 40-yard gain's a 40-yard gain. And I think if you get an open shot, he's still going to hit it. But, I mean, here's another one. Great ball placement here. Got the climb route coming from Travis Hunter. And again, this is Travis Hunter making a Travis Hunter play. But nonetheless, like, you'll see it from the end zone view here. It could not have been located any better than this. Blind to it, nice and high. He can extend. Look at how Travis Hunter pulls that ball up and away towards that front side hip to protect it. Really good stuff there. All right, and now this is Shedeur's, like, I want to give you the credit here, but I just had to include this because this is nuts. This is something I talked about in our Travis Hunter breakdown, this play here. He does do a good job. Again, he throws it to the defensive back's blind spot. He knows that he's throwing to the DB's back. Goes up, hand fights, dives in front of him to make this play. It's just ridiculous. All right. And now BYU. This is their bowl game, whatever it was, the Alamo Bowl. Very few highlights in this one. Their offensive line was terrible. BYU's defense was really good. This is a nice throw, though. And again, Travis Hunter is the biggest reason for the huge gain, but it gets set up by Shedeur throwing this ball inside. So you're going to see what I mean here. If he leads him outside, that is a catch and a run of 2 yards after the catch. He throws it inside because he sees the flow of these two defenders. He throws it to this inside shoulder and allows Hunter to get his foot in the ground and cut back upfield. It's a very minor thing, but it's an important thing. And that's the difference between a 2-yard run after catch and a 40 when you have a guy who can do that, right? But that is something that you saw a lot with Deshaun Watson last year. It's like even when he's completing balls, it's thrown to the wrong shoulder. He's not accounting for the leverage of the defensive back who's looking to close in on him. Those small things matter, and I like to see that. So now later on in this game, again, just doing a good job. You know, this is ultimately an interception for Shedeur, but this is a great throw. They're running slot fade again. That's his play. Got to go up stronger, got to make this catch. Instead, he gets hit in the back. They intercept this ball, but this is a perfect pass to an open man. Got to make that play for your quarterback. Now we're going, we're rolling. How about a nice layered throw over the top? Get your guy Travis Hunter into the end zone again. And, you know, it's unfortunate that he went out having such a rough game that he did. But when he was given the chance to make plays, he made the plays. A lot of the time throughout this tape, it's just the O-line is just getting swallowed whole, and then he's retreating and not able to get the ball off. So it's difficult. But when he did have a good pocket, he was making plays. Now, another one, another corner ball, really nice touch towards the sideline. Good ball, make the play. And again, this is what we could imagine potentially in the Kevin Stefanski system. Moving the pocket, rolling the pocket, getting this guy in the move. He delivers a nice ball. Continuing on here. Let's see. Good job. Nice throw on the dig right here. He's working. I like how he steps up and then resets right there. Nice, confident, easy throw. See from the end zone view here. Squares up. Good touch. And that's a mess in there. To have the confidence to not feel like you have to put a bullet on this and skipping it low like a lot of guys would. He's just like, no, man, I'm going to put this on a rope. Not too much heat. Let my guy run into this window. And, you know, another side note, if you ever wonder why Travis Hunter is such a good football player, it's like, look at this guy coming across into this window. He knows it's not his ball. He knows the safety's coming to close, but he's going to go and set a pick here. It's very minor and unrelated to Shedeur, but that is a great play by Travis Hunter there. Bam. Nice stuff. All right, continuing on. Another fantastic throw. That seam ball. Level 2. Whew. That's gorgeous. Let's see this in slow-mo. Nice rip down the seam. Getting up. Making the play. Getting the ball to the 2-yard line. Really like it. And now, final play. Rolling. Throwing back. Good location on this. Getting it to the inside shoulder here. It's a touchdown. So, not the worst way to end your career, but really not the best. And now with that, let's go to the lowlights because we got to talk about a lot of these. All right, so now we're getting into his weaknesses again. We're starting with Nebraska, and this is something that we see a lot. Holding onto the ball and retreating versus finding our hot. So in this instant, against any pressure package, anything like that, you have built in hots. And in this one, it's this flat route from the Z receiver coming from the field. So he's supposed to be breaking in. You're protecting the throw against this driving zone defender. And Shedeur really should be getting rid of this ball right now because he feels this pressure coming. He should be throwing it right here. And it could be a completion. However, he steps up, tries to roll out. They sack him. It's too easy. And this is something that's going to show up a lot on the tape. Also, another thing that I talked about in the intro, one of his weaknesses, he throws early game interceptions that can be tide turning. And this is one of the worst ones. I don't love the play throwing out of the shotgun with a 3-step drop from the 1 yard line. Not a big fan of that to the field. It's like, yeah, there's not much you can do in that instance, but it's also not a great throw. So that's something to consider. That's something to really talk about here. All right, now let's see again. Get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball. Good job evading this. And man, it's like, that's crazy. They're in Nebraska right now, playing in their first Big Ten game. This is difficult. It's a tough environment. It's early on. But now that you're running out, man, it's just like, drop this ball off quick. Get it into your playmaker's hand. Instead, we're thinking about it. We're waiting too long. Now, another one. This is one where it's opposite to what I was saying before, where usually he's pretty good at locating the ball. But here, we see this defender fall off. We got to recognize that this safety's going over top. They got these two low guys. Put this ball on his inside shoulder and let him work upfield. Do not lead him outside here. If that ball is thrown to the inside shoulder, potentially could even be a touchdown, getting your guy in space. Again, very minor, but you can see the difference in what he did later on in the season in BYU, getting it to his man's inside shoulder versus leading outside into a position where there's another defender already. So let's see this. This one's real tough to watch because you have your guy right now. You have your guy right now. You've done a good job hanging in the pocket. There's been madness all day. And, I'm not even going to pay attention to this downfield because that's one thing. Take this, man. Take that right now. And instead, we're looking out here. We're looking at the free rusher coming at us. Then we're retreating and we just have to throw the ball away. It's just a major, major waste of what could be at least a first down right here, right now, or even a touchdown. But again, like I said, I'm not paying attention to that. I'm looking at this. Pressure, get to your open guy, dump the ball off. And it looks even worse from here. Both instances, right there. Throw it right down this hash. Throw it right down in between the hash and the numbers there. And again, this one's more difficult. You have a safety falling off and a deep third defender trailing. That's difficult, but take that intermediate route, get rid of the ball. All right, now we're moving on. Retreating again. This is something that I just am not going to be able to handle watching if the Browns take him. And I don't think it'll be this bad because like these pressure situations are nuts. Like just you got a wide 9 defensive end here. And he's beating your right tackle straight off the edge. Obviously, those things will happen at points in the NFL, but it was just so frequent in this game tape that it's hard to comprehend. However, it's like you're not going to beat this. So if you feel this right here, you got your hitch wide open, man. Hit this thing. Hit it now. Hit it now. I don't understand this idea that we think we're going to step up and bait a guy and be able to get outside when we are not the best athletes in this pocket right now. Like Shedeur is not that dude in terms of athleticism. So we got to take what is handed to us. My coach used to say one of the hands worth more than two in the bush, which means don't pass up an opportunity right now for what could be a bigger play, which might come on a broken play. Just take what they're giving you. All right, let's go to the UCF game now. So opening up, really, really bad decision there. And like I said, he's prone to these early game mistakes. He does recover from them a lot of the time, but this is just another really bad one where he's thinking, okay, I'm pretty good in the intermediate game. I got my guy, Travis Hunter, completely blind to this looming zone backer here. And they pick it off deep in their own territory. That's really, really difficult and just not a good or smart play. Throwing against the grain while getting flushed out of the pocket in the middle of the field is very rarely going to work. Like we've been talking about, retreating is one of my big questions and issues with Shedeur as a prospect. But another one is his apprehension to take off and run. So right here, he's dropping back, and he just wants to set up these guys and break outside of the pocket to try and improvise downfield. But what you see here is a complete wide open lane. And right now, you are 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. This is the line of scrimmage right here, the 45-yard line. If you step up into this, it's going to pull someone down. It's going to do something. It might pull this safety down. It could pop a guy open in the back end. It could do something. But when you just keep retreating and retreating and retreating, and now you're 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, it leaves you with so few options to do anything. And, that winds up getting him just trying to throw a home run prayer ball down the sideline. Thankfully, it's not intercepted. But this is what I'm talking about right here. We see this defensive posture from Shedeur where he's hitching back, retreating. Now we're looking in this athletic stance like we want to go. Man, put your foot in the ground here and just get up through this alleyway. At the very least, you're going to gain a yard or two, right? But you could also pop something open because now all of these zone defenders with their eyes on you have to make a decision if they're going to run up or if they're going to stay back. So you are in the advantageous position. This flowing outside leaves you with only the right side of the field, and it allows everyone to continue to keep dropping back to this point where now it's a 2-on-1. And I just don't like that. So let's continue on here. This is just a bad decision in terms of the read. So you got double hitch concept here. The way you're supposed to read this, or the way most people teach to read this, is shortest to softest. What is the shortest throw with the softest coverage out in this concept? And this is applying to an all hitch concept. In this one, we got double hitch, slightly deeper position on the outside because you would think that can go from 1 to 2. That's why they have a staggered depth here. If that's purposeful, it could also be, it's supposed to be the same depth and they just mess it up. But a lot of the time they will do in these past concept is like he'll be at 6 and he'll be at 8. So we can go from there to there and keep some space between the defensive back and the receiver here. But Shedeur should come off this inside slant immediately and throw this ball to the outside shoulder of this receiver. But he tries to force it inside and they make a play on it. You can really see it. Like at this point, you should not be throwing this ball. Or if you are, throw now, right here into this gap. But still, I just don't really like it. Get the ball to the open guy, shortest to softest on those hitch concepts. Moving on here. Got Shedeur rolling out of the pocket again and retreating. And this is, again, like I said, just something that is not going to fly. Like this is all for what? All this running for what, man? I get you're getting pushed up here. But also, too, like I want to see if we don't take those steps, if we feel that and we just shuffle up forward. It's like we've got an avenue here. We've got a window. We could flip it to this running back here. But we push, so we're making his angle easier, and now we're making his angle easier. Good job staying alive here, but now it's like this is a dangerous throw. And yes, it's a completion, but all for what? You actually lost 2 yards. So sometimes you got to know when enough is enough on these plays. Step up a little bit. Make his angle have to come even flatter. Make him round out outside of you. And you step up and hit this check down. Like at that point, that check down has about 10 yards of open space around him. If he stepped up and he got the ball here, look at that. He's the only guy who can make that play. So people talk about Cam Ward. He improvises so much, He plays outside of the framework. I think that his is a little bit more just like the confidence, the cockiness. I think Shedeur's is a little bit more out of necessity because as easy as it is for me to be like, oh, step up. These are still really tight pockets. And their offensive line's getting beat. So got to give him a little bit of grace there, because when he does have a clean pocket, he's not doing this stuff. But the retreating is just something where it's like, if this is your reality in the NFL, you have to find a way to mitigate it and just know when to turf the ball and to live to fight another down. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of the UCF lowlights here. This is one where he's just got to lay it out better. Give him a step. If he's even, he's leaving. Drop the ball out here. Defensive back makes a really good play on this, but that's something where you'd like to see, again, like pushing it out to the 45, allowing your guy to run under it. He's faster to let him make a play. And I think the base, he's not really stepping into this throw. It's a little nonchalant with the delivery. I think you just need a bit more mustard on that, but that's an easy fix. Okay, now Arizona, only 2 low lights in this one. 2 that really stuck out to me. Again, it's an early game, bad throw to the middle of the field for an interception. That's basically how they're all happening, you know? Some backer or some safety who's not seeing when he's trying to drive the ball into the middle of the field. And that's just not something you can do in the NFL over and over and over. That was one of his primary weaknesses that I've seen. But you can see it again from here. I don't really know where he's looking, but even too, just the demeanor of like the drift. And that's not a great base. He feels this pressure too much and then just tries to uncork it from this base. No way, no matter what, is that going to be a completion. Shouldn't be thrown. Okay, now we're in Utah. Getting close to the end of the lowlights here, but what are we going to see early on in the game? A middle field throw with a zone defender who doesn't see, intercepting the ball. And again, like I mentioned, the good thing is that he really does correct himself after these moments. Like a lot of these interceptions, they're not like back-breaking late game picks. It's early on, and then he starts playing a lot better. But that is just another one where it's just bad. There's reading his eyes the whole way, dropping to a spot and picking that ball off. It's just too easy. Okay, now moving on. We're drifting, we're hanging back, we're moving back, and then just throwing the ball away. It's like, this is stuff that is super duper frustrating, because you could see, you don't even need to be continuing to gain space here. But now your blocking is kind of cleared up in front of you. It's like, dude, rush this gap. Take off. Don't just keep running backwards and make it easier for these pass rushers to get angles on you. That just ruins all of this opportunity in the open middle field here. Like, step up now. You got alleyway here. You got an alleyway here. You have opportunity, because his guard comes out and clears out this D tackle here. Watch. Coming back is going to clear this guy out. Like, that is your opportunity. Trust that your guys are going to block you up. Get back into the mix and use your little bit of athleticism to make plays versus having to just throw the ball away. And watch it from this end zone view. You're going to see what I'm talking about here. Right here. Right here. Right here, any one of these points, we could be taking off. And you can still have your eyes downfield while you're rushing. It's like Travis Hunter might cut back across the middle of the field like he does and make a play. He's going to influence guys, keep them pulled back. You're going to have room to either run or make a throw. So now we're in Kansas, wrapping up the low lights here. But this is just something where it's more so like acceleration and angles. Got to be faster than this. Got to take off stronger than this. Run to the open gap. I don't know what he's doing trying to curl back inside here. He literally makes it easier for the guy to tackle him. You'll see it again. We're back. Good idea taking off. Run away from him. I just don't get that one. Now going on again. Dropping back. We had something there early on, and now this, and now we're taking an enormous loss. Just terrible. I think he did wind up getting the ball back. There's another one that we're watching live. But it's just like, man, take your check down. I mean, if you want to do something, throw that. I don't really like that throw there, but it's just like you have opportunities. Just get the ball out, dude. And don't do this. Don't run backwards. Don't spin back. It's like we are where's the okay. Ball's on the 26-yard line and we wind up at the 50. Not the best. Not the best look. And that's what I'm saying. Retreating is my biggest concern with Shedeur. And is it offensive line? Is it concept? Or is it just a bad habit? I don't really know. I still don't really know. Maybe I'll have my mind made up by the end of this. This is another one where just a bit of an overthrow now. And again, I'm not putting this in like it's a low light, like it's a consistent thing. This is just one instance that popped out. I think overall he's pretty solid on these throws. I just think he gets a little sloppy with the footwork here. Feels the pressure. And I don't know about this base throwing this ball. It's just your feet are off the ground. You don't really rotate much. You just kind of like shot put it up. Still almost a completion, but I think if you take a second here, get your feet set and make this throw, I think you make that play. I think he makes that play when his feet are set. Okay. Now another one. This is just one where drive it earlier. Let it go now. Let it go really here at this point. You see this middle defender, eyes looking to wall because you got Travis Hunter up over here. Drive the ball down the hash. Don't leave it back outside because ultimately he does and they make a play on the ball. It's just too late, plus drifting backwards in the pocket here. Back. And they don't make the play. All right. Oklahoma State lowlights. Surprise, surprise. We're retreating. It's frustrating. However, there is a free rusher right here. The backer's going to come through basically untouched. So that's a problem. However, what is something else that we know and that we've talked about that you have built-in hots against pressure packages? So who is that going to be in this concept here? Well, it's probably the lowest receiver who's running into his sight lines. It's Travis Hunter coming across on this drag. And maybe he's looking for that because he feels the pressure and he sees this demeanor from these two defensive backs. That's understandable. But he gets enough time here where I think he could dump this ball off just right at the line of scrimmage. And at worst, it's an incomplete pass because you're throwing it low. At best, you're getting the best player on the field with the ball in his hands right here at the line of scrimmage with a little bit of space to make a play. But this isn't acceptable, though. Like this is what isn't going to be acceptable. That rolling backwards, trying to retreat and trying to make a play. Because when you see that, I mean, I just see a guy where I could dump that quick. And we got enough space where he's not going to get his block knocked off. However, we're definitely nitpicking, but that's what this requires. Okay, another one. Get the ball out, man. Get it out. You got this sled concept to the front side here. We hold off for some reason. I don't know why. We also have a hot built in that we could go to right there, but we see the free rusher. We're spooked, and now we're running backwards and retreating. I just do not like that demeanor. That's tough, man. This is another one where it's like, you got to make this play. Like Cam Ward's making this play. Run that fake jet sweep. He pauses here. He does a good job holding on the ball because he doesn't want to throw it to this defender. But he gets good width. So now they come in to close and attack him. Pop that ball over the top. Like shovel past that over the top. And make that play. Not this. Not taking a sack on a literal walk-in touchdown. Throw that ball now. Just throw it up. Even if you have to throw it out high and in front of him and he has to turn around blind to it, that's better than just taking this sack because there's no dangerous throw. There is zero dangerous throw at this point now. There's no way this guy can recover. He's not going to get there. These guys aren't going to get there. Just lob it up and give him enough time to turn around and make this play. That one is super, super tough to watch. You can see it again from here. Make that play, dude. Okay, let's move on. This is just one of his rare bad slant throws that he makes. Gets tipped. He leaves it hanging outside. They pop it up, tip drill, interception. Those are going to happen. You're not going to be 100% even on your best throws, but, that's a rarity for him. Okay, and now let's go to the BYU Alamo Bowl here. A lot of bad stuff. So we miss one directly behind on this drag route. Got to have that. That's really bad there. Then we move on. We miss. So the things that we were better at in this game in terms of the one play where he leads Travis Hunter inside, he has that big catch and run. This is earlier in the game, probably has some, the yips, whatever. He leaves it inside, should have thrown it outside, would have been a bigger gain. It's a completion, but it's not what it could have been. Throw that ball here. Then we're moving on here. We've got pressure. And this is one that I put in here, not that it's against Shedeur, but this is the reality of what he was dealing with a lot throughout the season and especially in this game. So that's what makes it hard to evaluate him. There's no throw at this point. As soon as this you're not making this throw bending. You're not making this throw with safeties, there's nothing there. This is literal just you're stuck because your offensive line cannot protect against the blitz or stunts or twists, whatever. There's just nothing you can do. So that's one thing that we have to keep in context with all of this stuff. It's that his protection was really, really bad. Okay, and now moving on. Retreating a little bit. Also fading. Making it easier for edge rushers to get towards him. Is there a throw there? I don't really know. At this point, definitely not. Travis Hunter thinks he's open, but it's just a bad play overall. And I think that, again, it's more so the offensive line. There's really nothing that you could do. I think that he could have stayed a bit more vertical in his drop versus drifting out towards this edge, but it's just bad. It's just bad stuff all around. And I think that has a lot more to do with the offense as a whole than Shedeur Sanders. So that was a lot of really great stuff and a lot of pretty questionable stuff. This is the big question. Is he worthy of the number 2 overall pick? This is what we have to ask ourselves. And not is he worthy of the number 2 pick, but can the Browns afford to pass up on him at number 2? That's really the better way of phrasing this question. Because a lot of people are saying, no, wait till next year. Next year's quarterback class is a better quarterback class. So wait till next year. Don't take a quarterback. Well, I mean, the plan is to be good this year, right? And what if the Browns win 8 games? What if they win 7 games? Even winning 6 games would push them outside of the top 10. So there's no guarantee you're getting your quarterback. If it's a very quarterback strong draft and there's a lot of quarterback hungry teams next year and you win 6 games and lose the wrong tiebreakers, you're not getting your guy. So you can't count on next year. That is the craziest defense of whether or not to take a quarterback. Don't wait. There's no guarantee. And the only guarantee that you get your guy next year is if you're terrible again. So that's a really bad argument. I don't believe in that whatsoever. However, that doesn't mean that you have to reach at number 2 because there's some things you could do. You could take a different quarterback in the second round. You could trade back into the first. However, how significantly better did Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter make you as a team versus getting a quarterback like Shedeur, who's very capable and could work really well in the right system with the right pieces around him? That's the big question. And furthermore, if you do pass on him at number 2, what if the Steelers get him at 21? What if the Saints get him at 9? If that happens and he plays well, or he does moderately well in any fashion, everyone will be saying that we should have taken him number 2 when we had him at the chance. So draft value, I think the whole concept of taking best player available absolutely applies unless you're very quarterback hungry. And the Browns are very quarterback hungry. So I wouldn't have a problem taking him with the number 2 pick. However, if you're passing up on Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, you better have something up your sleeve to get you back into the first, to get you more weaponry or defensive talent. That's the other good thing, though. This is a really good pass rusher, defensive tackle draft, and running back draft. Receivers so-so, but the Browns, honestly, not that they don't need receiver help, but that's probably their best area of their offense right now. Judy, Tillman had a really good year before the injury. Njoku, it's like there are some pieces there. Quarterback is so needed, though. So I think he is worthy of the second overall pick, considering the Browns' situation. Because if you trade out of that spot, someone else is going to take him. Cleveland's got their hands tied right now. Unless you can do something major to push yourself back into the top of the first round, you got to take him at 2. But if the consensus is that even the Saints are going to take him at 9, then you can do something there. But I just don't trust any of this whatsoever. I feel that everyone talks this big talk. That has been the language and the narrative all year. I did that video on YouTube of like the Cam Ward narrative. Everyone being like, oh, this isn't a great quarterback draft. Oh, like da-da-da-da-da. And now everyone's like, oh my God, Cam Ward's pro day was immaculate. His throws were effortless. Da-da-da-da-da. It changes so quick. And as soon as a guy has a good stretch of a couple games as a rookie, all that's going to be forgotten about. We're not going to be talking about the number 2 overall pick or the number 9 or wherever Shedeur gets taken. If he plays well, people are going to embrace him. It's not like he's the number 1 overall pick. When you're the number 2, you kind of go under the radar. It's like Jaden Daniels had a lot of weight off his shoulder this year because he didn't go number 1. Caleb, on the other hand, supposed to be the savior, the turnaround genius of the Bears, a lot more pressure. And he had a lot more help, right? So I think with this, Shedeur, very, very likely could be the number 2 pick to Cleveland. And I wouldn't say that it's the wrong pick. Is it the right one? Only time will tell, but I don't think it's the wrong pick. And I think that this guy does have enough tools in his tool belt to be successful. I like his moxie. I like his bravado. I like his leadership. A lot of people say they don't like that. What about Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield had a way crazier background and boisterous attitude and rap sheet than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of noise because of his dad, because of Colorado, everything. Yes, he does the watch thing, the whatever, he has his song. Baker Mayfield got tackled running away from the cops while he was drunk. Grabbed his crotch against Kansas, planted the flag against Ohio State. And not that the flag planting is a bad thing, but all those other things, low class, low character moves. And Baker still turned out to be a good player. He ultimately had his issues and took some time to mature, but I think Shedeur, what I'm trying to say is I think that Shedeur is way farther along in terms of his maturity and his ability to step in and like be unfazed by Cleveland media. So I think that is very valuable too. This other narrative of like, Deion will never let his boys go to Cleveland. He already came out and he's like, oh, Jimmy Haslam's a great guy. If he's saying that, like, he's fine with either of these guys going to Cleveland because they want the high ticket draft value. It's like they don't care. Like, they will go to Cleveland if they're drafted by them. So really difficult to nail this down, but I think he's worthy of the second overall pick. That's my take. I want to hear what you guys think about Shedeur, but we will continue churning these out. We're picking things up now that we are back from vacation. It was a long trip, but we are here. We're talking through all this stuff. And honestly, this is probably going to culminate in one final video on, do we take Hunter, Carter, or Sanders? That is going to probably be the final video where we weigh every option, go through all their tape, compare, and see what works. But as of right now, I am comfortable with Shedeur Sanders at number 2. We will see you in the next one. Thank you for being a member of the Optimistic Fan Club. Thank you.